morning, everyone. It's still morning. It's a great pleasure for me to open this meeting. My name is Krzysztof Kurzydłowski. I'm professor of material science and mechanical engineering here at University of Technology in Białystok. And it's a great pleasure and honor for me to open this meeting, which is one of the events organized under Open Science Week within initiative of European University Alliance across. And we are honored today to have two distinguished guests. Let me start with the first one, Professor Maciejem Żyliczem, who will be delivering presentation on importance of open science policy, and in particular in the context of his vast experience with non-governmental funding agency, Foundation for Polish Science, and his talk will be entitled Enabling Open Science Strategies and Challenges for Research Funding Agencies. But we have also today with us Professor Marek Drużdżel, who graduated from Delft University in Netherlands, received PhD degree in Carnegie Mellon University, and had quite a distinguished career also at University of Pittsburgh. Yes, let me add that in addition to many positions within the system of funding scientific research in Poland, Professor Żyliczem is also very renowned scientist in specializing recently in molecular biology. And giving the floor to Professor Żyliczem, I would like also ask you, Maciej, to say a few more words about your background and research interest before you move to presentation. And the same will be also expected from Professor Drużdżel. So let me welcome again our distinguished guests, and let's start by giving the floor to Professor Żyliczem. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the invitation. It is a great pleasure to be here. And just a few words about myself. I finished physics, but during my study at University of Gdańsk, and during my study I was also studying biology. Finally, I did my PhD. I did my master's degree in physics, but PhD in biology. Oriented to the more medical field. And after this, I was working at the University of Gdańsk for 20 years, talking with students and having a lot of fun with this. And after I left Poland and worked at Stanford and also at University of Utah in Salt Lake City, where I became a full professor. And I returned just after the martial law was relieved in Poland, and returned to Gdańsk and worked on the proteins which I identified. Actually, but my team with me. This is the correct words. Heat shock proteins, which are expression is elevated during stress. It turns out that after 20 years working in this in Gdańsk, and another 20 years working this in International Institute of Molecular Cell Biology in Warsaw, turns out that during the evolution system, cells developed the systems which were required to survive the stress. This is why we call stress proteins. And it turns out that this system is kidnapped by cancer cells to survive cancer cells. And this is another 20 years of work at Warsaw. And we focus on the breast cancer and find out that there are some conditions where women which have this breast cancer do not react properly with the chemotherapy. So 8% of the women which have a cancer react differently. So this is my background, a little bit in physics, a little bit in biology, and the last 20 years in medicine.
Fully interdisciplinary.
Well, this is what now is called, but to be honest, heat shock proteins were the core of my interest for the last 40 years.
Thank you, Maciej. So let's look at your slides.
Okay, so 20 years ago, I became president of the Foundation for Polish Science, which is a private foundation. And today is my last day that I am employed by foundation because in 1st of September, another person, Professor Pirch, became president of the foundation, and I was just cleaning up the desk, and for 1.5 months. So today is my last day. Tomorrow I'll be a free person, but and I am happy with this. So my experience in how to evaluate science was last 20 years in the different places, not only in the foundation, but I was also head of the panel of ERC and few others panels, international panels. I would not go into the details. So I would like to talk today about scientific excellence and how open science can stimulate scientific excellence. And just because this is a lecture, so I need to tell a little bit about the definitions. But open science is a movement to make research and its dissemination transparent, accessible, and reusable by all of us. So this sentence is correct and fantastic that we are going in this direction. So there's no doubt about this, and that we should go in this direction. But of course, a lot of different ways goes to the wrong. And you need to be very careful how to apply this. Why open science is so important? Because of the collaboration. And the collaboration in different countries and international collaborations are required to do a good science. Only 2 countries do not need to have a collaboration. United States, because it's a huge country, and it doesn't matter if they publish with somebody else from the other country, the citation is high enough, and Switzerland, because they are very rich. And if they need to have a good scientist, they will buy the scientist. Anyway, all other countries need collaboration. Reproducibility. This is something which is extremely important, that science needs to be reproducible. And of course, there's maybe less than 1% of situations where the scientists are not honest. But in another situation, it's not reproducible. Some results are not reproducible because of the complexity of the subject. Let's say human being is so complex that it is sometimes very hard to reproduce the results because there are hundreds of parameters which we are not controlling. We are controlling 3 or 4, and we are thinking that it's fine. But another 100 parameters we are not controlling. So reproducibility is important because if somebody publish a not reproducible paper have a big problem with the society, because society is not trusting science, because there was a situation that something happened. And another thing is social impact. This is something which is not done in a proper way in Poland. We are receiving a really tiny amount of money for research, because the society is not sure if they should invest in science. We need to change this. We need to have open science to change this situation. Great Britain did this 20, 30 years ago. They did not talk with politicians before the elections, because the politicians before the elections, they can promise everything. They talk with the society, and next society give the pressure to the politics to increase the amount of money devoted for research. And we should go in this direction. So open science, you have open research data. I will talk a little bit about this extremely important thing. Software, open methods, open evaluation. This is what we just apply in a foundation for Polish science. Education, citizen science. Well, the scientists are so proud that they think that they can discover something without any help of other people, without any help of the society. But if you look on a really groundbreaking results of some diseases, the patients help scientists to discover, and I can go and talk about this for a long time, but I have no time for this. And another thing is open access. This is something which I would like to focus on this. And I'm just, I am independent. Yeah. So why we need to have open access? What does it mean? Open access is access to the journals where we are publishing. We should have the open access to the journals that are publishing our results. And we should have no restriction for this. And again, this is something which is extremely important, and this first sentence is true. The things which we are publishing need to be read by members of the society, because this enhances collaboration, greater impact, of course, increase the visibility, and also improve reproducibility of the results. I will return to this in a few moments. But this very good direction in the last maybe 20 years, there was a problem to introduce this direction. And next slide summarize the problem, the challenges. First challenge is that authors still need to pay a huge amount of money for the article process charges. If you want to publish in Nature paper, you need to pay 8,000 pounds. So this is a huge, from your grant system. And not so many scientists have such amount of money. Another problem is who is paying for the peer review. This was not predicted, and the situation in society is like this, that there is no vacuum. When you can publish without peer review, you will earn much more money to your pocket, because you are not doing peer review. I will go back to this statement. There is a confusion with the copyrights and licensing. There is a lot of other things which are not working well, but the last situation is extremely important to just surmise, is that EU have a different model of an open access than US. And the real science, to be honest, is done in US. Or Anglo-Saxon system in Great Britain. So we decided that we should introduce open access 20 years ago, and in such a way, without saying who will pay for the peer review, we actually give the place for the predatory publishers, those who are not doing a peer review, or I would say lousy peer review, and earn a lot of money. And you have a lot of different companies which are using this. I will show you the results. And you can see that in the gray zone is those papers which are closed, so they are not open access. And you can see that in chemistry, a lot of papers are still not in open access. I will just tell you why. And in biomedical research, quite a few, 50% is open access and 50 is not. And you have a different way how to open access papers. One is to publish in normal journals, but in the same time deposit this data and this paper to the repository, and this is the green. This is the green axis, and you can see that two areas like physics have quite a few open access because of the green system, and also mathematics, because for years they built a structure of the repository. So publishing in the normal good journals, but the paper is put it to the repository and is open access to everybody who wants this. So this is the lesson which we learn from the system. If you look on the gold axis, it doesn't mean that all rights is on me and is open for real open. It is like nature with $8,000 of dollars, pounds, paying for the article processing charges. So you can see that depending on the subject, is different area of interest, different react on this. But why peer review is so important? I told you my area of interest is biology, a little bit of physics in the beginning, and medical field. And in my area of cancer biology, 50,000 of papers is published every year. I'm not able to read all these papers. I'm reading only the papers which are after reliable peer review. So I'm just saying, if he's published in some predatory journals, I'm not reading this because I don't trust this. I have no other choice. 50,000 papers, okay? This is why peer review is so important, because this is some kind of a selection for me, that I'm not reading 50,000, but maybe a few thousand. And so how to solve this problem? Who should pay for the peer review? And I'm talking now as a former president of the Foundation for Polish Science, which was giving grants. And of course, it will be very difficult that the scientists will pay for this, because the grants are not so big to handle this problem. The international organizations like EMBO, or in the case of particle physics, CERN and the other, they should put a share of money, because they care about the quality of science, because they are using this in the assessment of the groups and the quality of the science. So, and another problem is who should pay for this repository, which are, as I told you, very important thing. Again, the organizations which are giving the grants, before they give the grants, they should give a share of money to support the quality control, the peer review system. And so we can solve some problems, but we cannot solve a major problem, which is in our scientific society. If you are publishing a paper in Nature Science, in our case in Cell, you have your doors are open, and you can be hired by Cambridge, Oxford, or MIT, Harvard. But try to be hired without this paper. Very difficult. So we need to change the way how we assess individual scientists. I will tell you a little bit about this. We cannot use the same methods to evaluate the units at university, Politechnika Białostocka, to evaluation of the one scientist during his promotion or when he is applying for the grants. We need to change the system. Otherwise, we will always have a problem with evaluation of individual scientists. And I was talking about the peer review. The peer review system is like a democracy. Everybody is complaining, but there is no other system. And we should use this peer review. What does it mean? It means that the group of scientists, experts, are reviewing your papers, your achievements. But what is important, those people who are reviewing need to be a better scientist or equal scientist than the person who is under the evaluation. So the situation which happened last 5 years in one of the agency, which I will not give the name, where the PhD students were evaluating the 200 million grants, million złotych grants. It's against peer review. This was not peer review. Peers. This word is extremely important. So I was talking that peer review have also some, is not a perfect, and you need to be aware of this, that peer review largely depends on who you will choose as a reviewer. You need to be extremely careful because usually behavior of the reviewer average reviewer is supporting something which the reviewer can predict. His imagination is working on this frequency that he can predict the results. Or if he can predict the results, it's fine. He's giving the best notes for the application. But this is wrong. If you want to do a groundbreaking discoveries, you need to review differently such a proposal. So statistically speaking, peer review favors the correct applications, not groundbreaking, and this is something. And also, unfortunately, peer review is not you can also see that some reviewers, even if they were asked if they have no conflict of interest, they have conflict of interest. One of the big conflict of interest is competition. So you need to be aware of these weak points and set the system in such a way that you have a really honest reviewers. And they are in this world. For the foundation, it took us 10 years to have a group of 2,500 of reviewers from all over the world, which were acting properly. But 5 years ago, somebody told us that applications to the foundation should be written in Polish. So all these 2,000, more than 2,000 reviewers do not know Polish language. And we need to build the system from the beginning, mainly asking the people whose origin is Poland, still know the Polish language, but they are working abroad. And this is a tough situation, but when politics goes to the science, we have problems like this. So we need to be aware that the system is not perfect, and always control the system, change, look for the another reviewers, and things like this. Well, I was using a word also, scientific excellence. Scientific excellence is something which goes in a simplest way. We can say we are looking for the best publishable papers published in the world. But of course, there are also other achievements, especially in engineer schools, which need to be on account. Not only papers, but this is something which also touch other subjects like originality in innovation, like scientific society impact, like scientific ethics and integrity. There are subjects which are touched to the scientific excellence. So scientific excellence is something which goes, which everybody is saying that they are judging the achievements using scientific excellence, but different people are using a different agency are doing different way. And something which I would like to share with you that in 2022, Foundation entered to the Quora system, where the person who is applying for the grant or for the promotion or whatever in his career need to be assessed. He or she is giving 5, sometimes when a person is very high in the career 10, the best achievement. So you are not assessing 200 papers, 300 papers, 500 papers, but only few papers. And they are choosing what they want to show. The person who will be assessed is choosing this. In the case of the first team, which we are having in the foundation, we have 5 best achievements, including papers, but sometimes patents, sometimes some engineer findings. So this is not only papers, I would like to say. So first we are giving the first message to all people who are applying to the foundation. Not numbers are important. If you have 300 papers but nobody is citing this paper, you will not win the competition, okay? Give us the best 5 or best 10 if you want to open centers of excellence. We have such a program, and we are giving 30 million Polish złotych. We are asking the scientists to give 5 papers done in the last 10 years. It's because we want to have an active scientist, okay? And we are just looking for the excellence of those papers, not other things, but those papers. And this is totally different attitude. So we are not asking where this is asking. Of course, when you are writing where this paper is published, you are giving the information. But we are not judging the journal where this thing is published, but the quality, what is a real discovery in this paper. And we are saying, is it groundbreaking? Very rarely we are seeing the groundbreaking results in such an assessment. In the case, when I was head of the ERC Advanced Grant in Brussels, this is LS1, molecular biology, biochemistry, and biophysics, I was asking, so how the field will look like without this paper? And this was very difficult to answer properly this question. So now in the foundation we are asking such a question. So we are not using impact factors, the points of the minister. We are not using the sum of the citation of some of the numbers of papers. Only these 5 papers counts. And the discussion in the panel is fantastic sometimes. So no Hirsch factor, no things like this. This, I can tell you a little bit more about this, but I have no time. But there's a lot of artificial things which comes from using such a parameters. Okay, so it's doable because in the last few years we were able to apply this system, and it's better than the system which we were doing before. Scientific excellence, we are treating scientific excellence as a benchmark. So as if nobody have achievements which are excellent. You can approach to the excellence. So asymptotically approach, but you never can reach this goal. So this is why we treat scientific excellence as a benchmark. And in a foundation for years, we are supporting the best so they can become even better. It doesn't mean that it is possible to become a better, because the scientific excellence is still not achieved. And I'm going to, and this is something which really makes me nervous when somebody is using inheritance of the prestige. So for the molecular biologist, knowing about the DNA and RNA information, this is nonsense, complete nonsense. From the statistical point of view, it's also nonsense. Only 2 or 3% of the Nature paper is groundbreaking. Other not. And the correlation between quality of the paper and where you publish is not very straightforward, I would say. And just to remind you, I just found this illustration from ancient that just because I dance with the queen does not mean that I inherit her prestige. Okay? So please do not repeat this nonsense that judging the journals, you are judging what is written in this article which is published and should be assessed. It's nonsense. A więc, sorry. This is something which also touch another subject, which is very important and discussed by the Science Society. How to evaluate the units or an individual person. Is it possible to evaluate? This is something which is important. So, first of all, you should not evaluate the journal where it is published, the paper, but the subject, the results which are published. But this, I hope you are already convinced. But why? Because the difference in the system in Poland between points which you are receiving 200 points by publishing in Nature and a lousy journal which is 60 give you 60 points or 20 points, it's so little that that you can publish paper, 3 papers, and receive the similar amount of numbers in the evaluation system than paper in Nature. Those 3 papers are not cited, it's a rubbish, but still you are receiving these points. And we should fight with this. Otherwise, I understand the weak units are supporting the system because when you are adding 20, 60 or 120 points, you are not, you can end up with some numbers which give you some prestige things, like open the ability to give a PhD or habilitation or things like this. But those papers are not cited, and those papers are not giving anything to the field. So it should be 0 plus 0 will give it 0. You should only count the really breakthrough papers. This is something. And another thing, because I'm seeing a lot of young people in the audience, that people are treating publishing system as cutting salami. So you can calculate that if you have quite a good paper, which could have an impact in the field, but if you cut in the 3 or 4 papers, you will receive more money, more points than when you will publish this together. And this is something very dangerous. If you want to to work in a very good neighborhood, the best universities in the world, please publish one paper in the 3 years, but the best one, such a paper that everybody will talk about this. Don't publish not finished work. So, and 2003 and 2004, we were just thinking that the government will change, so we started discussion between in FNP, academies, and the Batory Foundation, and we thought that it is possible to evaluate the units at universities like your university, not using parametric approach. In such a case, you don't need to have a special commissions. You don't need to every 4 years to calculate, to give the information to this commission and things like this. No, this could be done automatically. And this is what we are proposing. And the situation is like this. Now we are talking about the evaluation of the unit. So each unit should receive the money for the research, which is proportional to the number of scientists and to the research costs. Of course, normalized research costs. So this will be the background of and a solid system. Give you the money for this. Next, extra money we are proposing that extra money will go from the system where you are able as a unit to hire the very good scientists who can win the competition in an agency like ERC, NCN, ABM, and FNP, those who are doing a peer review system. So received individual grants. So the money which goes to these grants will still stay for these grants. Nobody will touch this, of course. But proportional to this money, you will receive extra money because you hire a good scientist, which are able to win the competition. And everybody could apply also for the extra money using the international peer review system, and receive really maybe 10% of the best units in the first two categories will have a chance to apply to the using peer review system, but all the reviewers will come from abroad, and they will assess and give the extra money. So this is what we are proposing, and this is my last slide. And my last slide shows that it goes back to the first one about the open science. We need to use open science, of course, in a clever way, and convince the society that the science is useful, and build a structure around this, and convince society that we should receive more money. When we enter EU, 17 euro per year the government was paying for science. 17 euro per year per capita in Poland. Today is 70 euro. The average is 200 euro a year, but Denmark is giving 400 euro per year for each person per capita for science. So we are at the end with Romania, and we need to change this, and we should change this in a way, in such a situation, convince society that we are doing something good for them. Otherwise, there will be no money. Because politicians will always find another very important things to be paid for the tax. This is something which is doable. In Great Britain, in the cancer field, 2/3 of the money which goes to the cancer fields go from the donation, from the society. Only 1/3 is paid by the government, because the society is convinced that it's important. And this is why we need to have open science. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maciej. Now, thank you for this excellent talk. Now we open sort of panel discussion. Participants here and also those who are participating in our meeting online are welcome to send their questions to Professor Żylic. But before we enter this part of answering questions, I would like Professor Marek Drużdżel to take part in our discussion by maybe commenting some of pieces of presentation of Professor Żylic. Mark, please do.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Professor Żylic for an excellent presentation. And I made some notes about things that I strongly agree, or maybe some comments on even if they may seem that I disagree, I suspect if we talk for 5 or 10 minutes, we'll probably converge. I think the most important thing that Professor Żylic has said today, and it's for all scientists and especially young scientists, is this idea that the society and other scientists, people, expect us to deliver a small number of high-quality things. I think it was very clear in your presentation. I absolutely agree with that. I've been telling it to young scientists that this is what they should do. Not tens or hundreds of dubious quality papers, but as Professor Żylic said, one paper every 2 or 3 years that everybody says, wow, that's it. Another thing that, let's see, I have, one thing I noticed that there was a reform of science several years ago, and like every reform, it has probably good and bad things. That there's no clear, like, good guy and bad guy, like in children movies. But one really, I think, tragic thing that happened was that the barriers between disciplines. You haven't talked about this, but this is what aches me, really. So every scientist is supposed to publish in his or her discipline and not in any other, or collaborate with somebody else. Otherwise, the paper will not count, you'll get no points, etc. I think this is a terrible idea, because the most interesting things in science historically have been happening at the cracks between disciplines. If this rule was there 50 years ago, there would be no computer science. My advisors, one of them was a chemist, another one was a mathematician. There was no computer science. And computer science originated because people were looking in new things and in cracks between disciplines. The points, the counting papers, of course, I suspect that every rule that the government or the ministry introduces will have people who are trying to abuse it. Whatever we do, I think there will be always people who will do that. one thing that I noticed 10 or 15 years ago, it was, to me, it was an example of an incredibly good salesmanship. A private company, Thomson Reuters, has sold it to the government, the idea that we should be counting scientific output based on papers that are only indexed by them. I think this was such an interesting idea, such a good example of good salesmanship that it kind of keeps stunning me that this was possible at all. Another idea about this open access that I remember, in the field of artificial intelligence, I work at the border of that field and statistics also. There were two very prestigious journals that originated probably in 1970s or 1980s, Artificial Intelligence, and then another one, Machine Learning. The problem with them was that it took a year to publish because the peer review was long and there was a line, they were prestigious, they were good journals, good quality papers. The response of the scientific community was to create open access journals by themselves. Two journals, I don't know the exact year, but it was around 1990, maybe early 90s. Journal of Machine Learning Research and Journal of Artificial Intelligence Research. They were run by scientists, maybe with some funds from the university. Quick peer review, they enforced on the peer reviewers, whatever, 1 or 2 months response. And they became more prestigious than artificial intelligence and machine learning. A very interesting phenomenon. They still exist. They are probably co-funded by the universities, the repositories. So it was a bottom-up grassroots initiative. I think it's a very interesting thing compared to the quick turnaround, bordering on the predatory journals initiatives, which was simply a response of the business to the rules. You cannot blame them, they just responded. There was an opportunity, they created those journals. And let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I was really delighted to see the question mark at the end of the title of the presentation, because the question, of course, is, weren't there any good things in the old system? The old system where you publish, and if you wanted to get access, you had to pay for it. Or you go to the library. Academics did not suffer because we just went to the library and all the journals were there. The university was subsidized by the government. We had access. So the old system had, of course, its flaws, but it wasn't that bad at all, given especially the new things with the new system. Another thing was language. Professor Żyliczem mentioned that it's a good idea to write in English. I think, except for some fields, like maybe Polish language and literature, that's obviously that these are Polish language journals. Maybe some social sciences, some. We should write and publish in English because otherwise it's difficult to find reviewers, it's difficult for others to access the results of our work. I think we should, we definitely agree on that. I don't want to take more time. I have a few more things, but...
I have two more for you. One, if you could comment on the statement by Maciej about role of United States and in world research and difference between the United States and the European Union, a member of which Poland is. Mm-hmm. And the other point is, I would like to know your personal experience with transferring research into use, commercial maybe practice. This is a very, I frequently I am asked whether open access is against works against possibility to take advantage, commercial advantage of your results if you decide to do that. I strongly reject this statement. Maybe you can also comment on that. Thank you.
Well, I spent more than 30 years in the United States. I did my doctorate there and worked for many years as a faculty. I think that I agree that a lot of good science is done in the United States. Reasons are probably many. Money is, of course, important, but that's not all. One of my advisors in the Netherlands said, Americans think that money is important, and look who won in Vietnam, you know. There is actually, money is not everything, but it is an important factor. There is money from different sources, the government, the military, different foundations, even industry gives grants. So it's probably a little easier to get money. But there is also something in the mentality. People, I found my experiences at work in US were always very good. There's an atmosphere of work. You come to a university at 10 o'clock in the evening, you see people around. You come at 2 a.m., middle of the night, there are still some lights on because people have deadlines and are finishing papers or grant applications. People just work very hard. And they rest, they recreate also very intensively. They do parachute jumping and all kinds of crazy things, windsurfing, but they work very hard. And I think Europe is a little bit different. Europe is more organized, there are rules, there are regulations. I think there's more freedom in the US about it. It's also historical. There is no Ministry of Education that dictates how universities should behave, what program they should have, what kind of, what was this called recently, the efekty kształcenia. We don't have anything like that in US. Every university, yes. A big mess, you could say. Every university decides how to teach their students. And that allows, I think, the exceptional universities to do exceptional things, to experiment. That's another thing that is different.
So maybe I can comment also on this quality in US and in other countries. There is still open access. Information about the experts from Australia, which look for 44 subjects important for the future. And looks who is the best in these 44 subjects. 37 is China. And on the second position, US, and the rest of this 40 is United States and China. So they are changing only the places. First, rarely on the third position, there is a Great Britain, Japan, and other countries. Almost no EU countries. And this is the results. Everybody can look on these results, and it's scary. We are just losing as a Europe because of this sometimes different attitude. Like you just mentioned, we are losing the ground.
Well, yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, there is always chance to do excellent science also in Europe and in Poland and in Białystok as well. Mark, the other subject, commercial use of results.
In a moment, just wanted to say that I have lived in Western Europe, in the Netherlands for 6 years. And responding to your remark, I think that we have absolutely incredible potential. Part of it is also our society. We absolutely tolerate people who are different and people who are unusual. I think it's easier to do excellent things in Poland than it would be in the Netherlands. That's my personal opinion. So we do have the potential. We are exceptional. And the second subject.
But none of three of us was born in Podlasie, so it's fair to say that this region is particularly offering much in terms of what you mentioned, right?
Your second question about commercializing the results of research, that's at first sight, it's countering this openness of science. And you can definitely see that. You could see it for years, for decades. Somebody collects data, for example. The data collecting and cleaning process is very laborious. It takes years. It's a big investment. And then that person publishes a paper, and the question is, should that group release the data, publish the data, or not? Most of the time when you ask them, can I have your data? Can I look at them? Can I repeat that? They will say, oh, we are still working on it. We are still analyzing them. Just like Mac Commission is still analyzing the causes of the presidential airplane crash in New Smolensk. Now, and I have to say that I can understand them. It was a big investment. They spent maybe several years collecting the data, and somebody comes in and says, well, I want the data, analyzes that, and publishes based on the data. So there is something to be said about keeping some things a little closer. Again, I'm not saying that we should do it, but I can understand people who are reluctant to share everything. In my case, computer science, we've been developing a system, implementing most of our research ideas. We implemented it by writing computer programs. We made them available to the world, the programs. Everybody could use it for free. But we never released the source code of the programs. Why didn't we do it? Well, it took a lot of work to write those programs. Every new student in my lab had immediately access to the source code. That was a big advantage for that student. On the other hand, that student had to do more work, higher quality code, cleaner, make sure that there are no errors, documentation, etc. So I would be reluctant to release that code as a scientist. Later, 20 years after we started writing it, we created a company. We got a license from the university. We are developing that software outside of the university now and selling it commercially. Still, and that's the open access in me, it's available for free for any academic, for teaching and research purposes. The software, not the source code. So you can do it, and I don't know what my colleagues think about this, but should we be obliged to release everything or not? If you are, then you lose that competitive edge if you want to do any commercial things.
Well, I think, first of all, it always comes to the question, what are the rules of funding, right? So if funding agency precisely explains that everything must be in open access, then there is no choice. Unless you go beyond what was agreed in grant application, what is your own intellectual property, then you decide on your own, right? And but also protecting private intellectual property is possible. And but I frequently say that if you've got a wonderful idea and you are afraid that someone might be stealing it from you, just make it public, but protect in any possible way. But because this is, at least from my point of view, the only strategy that may work in a longer run. Okay. Right, but we are open to questions also from participants here and on colleagues participating online. Are there any questions? Oh, yes.
It was told at the beginning. Ja mam tylko pytanie, bo było mówione na początku, że trzeba zapłacić 8000 funtów na te, żeby opublikować badania. Jakby z czego wynika ta kwota po prostu, jakby to mnie zaciekawiło. Jakby dlaczego jest to takie drogie?
this is in the case of the Nature. The other journals are not, this money is not so high. But anyway, it is not only the most important for us is a peer review system. You need to organize the office with the very good scientists which are choosing the best reviewers for this paper. Next, they read these reviews and they understand what it's all about and make a decision, yes or no. So this system is costly, but also other things are important to. In the case of Nature, the advertisement, probably they don't need to have advertisement, but they are doing this, and this is also costly. So there are different places. Most of the journals are not even printing the journals, but this is in the computer. In the case of Nature, it's also printing. So this is another cost.
Okay, I may add that excellence and high quality always costs, right? So if you in any form and any our activity, we need to pay for high quality product, and publications, high quality journals are also in a sense products. But what happened over years, it was a change of the model. In the past, cost was covered by subscription of libraries primarily. Now it's shifted to individual scientists in a sense, and that's and most systems are not fully prepared yet to offer good solution, especially with this democratization of science and still continuously increasing number of scientists who want to publish and who are asked to publish, as Professor Żyliczem said, frequently asked to publish too many papers and getting awards for over-publishing instead of concentrating on quality of papers.
I'll be a little bit harsher on the £8,000 cost. I suspect part of it is because they can. They have incredible reputation. It's a very, very good journal. They decided that their quality deserves that.
I understand that they don't pay reviewers. No. So the cost is to maintain prestige.
I want to ask about the editors. We know the matter with the MDPE, and but I checked my friends and very nice scientists, great scientists that publish in this journal, the journals from the MDPE. And I want to ask if we should publish or not, because there are some different opinions about these journals.
Okay, so I must confess I have one paper published in MDPE, and I can tell you why. Because our students, with my wife, Ala, she's in the audience, so our student received a very nice subject, and she got a fantastic results, and she got pregnant and have a baby. She returned to the laboratory, had another baby. So after this 6 years, this fantastic subject was not already a fantastic subject because everybody else is a very competitive field. So the only place where we can publish this was this predatory journals. But 2 boys were born. So there's some positive things about this.
I have to also confess I have 1 or 2 papers in MDPI journal, and my first reaction to the idea that we should send it there was very skeptical. But I have to say that we got really quite thorough reviews from, I think there were 2 different, yes. Yeah. So, and the big advantage is that the turnaround process lasted 1 or 2 months. Incredible. And there was a peer review, and I reviewed also a few times for such journals. Maybe they are not the most prestigious, but I don't think I would call them predatory right away.
My comment is the following. That very much depends on the reasons you select such a journal. If you do it to avoid a risk of getting strong criticism, it's wrong. Okay? But sometimes there are also other ingredients in your decision. I may tell you that 2 Nobel Prize winners in physics, some time ago, I don't remember their names, but know the subject. They sort of discovered graphene. They published in a relatively less known journal because wanted to have it published fast. And it doesn't matter. For that discovery, they received Nobel Prize in 2000 something. There are different reasons, and also among this predatory for publishing in such a place, such a journal, and also among these predatory journals, they differ in quality, and there are ways to measure or at least have some good evaluation of quality of such a journals. One thing they certainly offered, they shaken the landscape. They also there is a term used in the past, at least for some journals, that there are people there who are gatekeepers, right? So for newcomers, it was difficult to publish in some journals. So that's open new possibilities. But if you, as I said, take this opportunity only to avoid risk of being receiving a fair criticism of your work, that's wrong. And sooner or later you will pay a price for that.
Maybe one more comment about this. I completely agree with you. We should, I think we should ask ourselves why we want to publish our work in the best possible journals. And why? Because the society should be known about our results. The society should repeat our results and looks if it's done correctly or not. These are the reasons, not the reasons that we are receiving 200 points in the evaluation system. No, this is the reason why we should publish in the best possible journal. MDPE is not the best journals, so we should, if it's possible, avoid to use this, because we would like to know how the society will react on our results. If there is a citation of our results, if maybe there are some criticism, this is why we are publishing this in Nature or Science. Not because 200 points, sorry.
Yes, and I'd like to return to one of the points that Professor Żylic made, is that it's a very imperfect process, the peer review. Absolutely. We don't have anything better. We need to use something to expose our work. I agree with it fully. There's nothing better. There are examples of papers retracted later, or fraudulent papers in the highest quality journals. And there are also examples of excellent papers Einstein's papers, I think, the Annus Memorabilia, I think they were published in so quality journal. Anything can happen there, really. And if you have some groundbreaking idea, and you said it very well, it's difficult to get into the highest quality journal. If you have really excellent idea, like changing the field, very difficult to publish. Then you have to publish wherever you can publish to expose it, to discuss. In terms of your scientific achievements, the thing that I agree strongly is people expect from us small number of high quality things. If your vita has a few of those lesser quality journals, there's nothing wrong. If your vita consists of only those, there's something seriously wrong. So you should have those pearls in your list, but a few of less known journals is perfectly fine. Why? Because somebody, a good colleague in your field, respect, has a special issue in a journal, which is not the top shelf, but it's the middle, asks you, would you please write something? I think that there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
This Coara system, when you are just giving only the 5 or 10 papers, so if somebody is showing MDPE papers, so it's 100 papers, and he's choosing the best one and give this MDPE, this is the problem. So the panel is just asking this person what you think is novel in this paper, what is really good in this paper, look on the impact in the field. This is not a red light. This is the orange light that you need to be careful, because maybe there was no peer review system, maybe. But we still are assessing such a paper using the same criteria like for the Nature paper.
Are there any further questions or comments? I don't see that this is the case. So we are slowly approaching conclusions of our meeting. Let me start with Maciej, with you asking for some final comments also after this discussion between us and with participants.
So I was talking about the open science, and I was talking about the publishing openly your papers, but really things which need to be changed in our country is the way how we are distributing the money. My idea is that half of the money devoted to science need to be given to the units, and they can do what they want with this, and half by the grant system. So we need to have, I would say, soft money for the units. Otherwise, you cannot only use the grant money, because the grant money are attached to the subject, attached to many other things. Scientists need to have a freedom, and the dean of the faculty need to have a freedom to hire the best scientists, and this is something which is important. So I was talking a lot about the grant system, but this is the only part of the system which we should build. Another part is the donation from the government for the units like faculty of.
It reminds me that we met first time in KBN, and soon after collapse of former system in Poland. And in fact, KBN installed such a system, which was later converted by politicians into some less efficient ways of distributing money. Mark? would you like to comment, share some conclusions?
No, not really. I think that several important things have been said here, and I guess I listed those that have appealed to me, and I think that I don't have anything in conclusion.
Okay, thank you. Since we are within this open science business, I prepared some conclusions, and I will concentrate your attention on some terms important for the subject, both of open science and excellence in science. And these are transparency, accessibility, but also as a way for collaboration. International collaboration is one of the most efficient measures to improve quality of research. Reproducibility as a fundamental requirement for existing, for science to be approved and accepted by general public. And research integrity, and as well as authorship transparency. I mean, I'm surprised how difficult it is sometimes to trace back some authors, especially if they come from nations like China, with more than a billion people, and most of them using last names consisting of 3 to 4 letters, right? At least in English transcription. But I think that in a very general sense, open science is really in its best interest for scientific community, and let's hope that there will be also ways to offer to fully exercise expectations related to that policy. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for distinguished panelists. Thank you.